For 2 centuries, American Indians fought genocide, negotiated Indian identity, and struggled against cultural assimilation, all the while playing ball in the fields of their ancestors. How did American Indians become the mascots for a sport they may have invented? This is the story of playing pastime.
Take me where there's hope, where women dance light and to low. Take me where there's hope, where men dance in a kaleidoscope. Take me where there's hope.
I've been thinking a lot about how we participate in sports. First, there's stickball, Indian stickball. Then at the turn of the century, start playing baseball, and there's baseball teams all over the country. And then in the 50s, they formed these fast-pitch softball teams. And that is a way that the Indian people have come together and taken modern games and made them their own. That's almost wholly unknown around the country. The image is not there. The image of us as sports participants is not there. We're always the mascot for sports. And the stereotypes of Indians in headdresses. So they're not used to seeing us like we are. So, of course, they've never heard of all Indian fast pitch softball. Never. I think it's ironic that the very first film about American baseball, shot in 1909 by Carl Laemmle, depicts a game between the Jimtown Bar and the Choctaws. Now, this is the same producer who would later make The Invisible Man, but maybe Laemmle made his last game because even in 1909, the Choctaws were known as great ball players, despite the crude stereotypes. I know mainstream people and baseball historians and baseball fanatics, especially out of the mainstream, are going to say, there's no way that these Indians founded or created the roots of baseball. There's just no way.
There is some evidence that Lewis and Clark, in their expedition in the early 1800s to look over the Louisiana Purchase, saw Indians playing a game that resembled baseball. Of course, in those days, there was many forms of what we now call baseball, which is the origin of fast-pitch softball, where baseball really got going in the United States was during the Civil War. The soldiers after the Civil War brought the game to Oklahoma Territory and Indian Territory to the forts. Baseball in Indian Territory and Oklahoma Territories became the town game. This is how one town would gain superiority over another. All the businesses would shut down. Everybody would go to the baseball. There would be gambling on the game, but that wasn't the important thing. Just try to get pride in your town. The sport of baseball was primarily in Oklahoma as the main sport from about 1900 to 1940. During that period, especially during the Depression years, the game of softball evolved and really became the more popular among small towns, churches, Indian tribes. So the golden era of fast-pitch softball actually was from about 1940 to 1970. And after that, slow-pitch softball has developed all over Oklahoma, but for some reason that I don't know, the Indian tribes have adopted fast-pitch softball as their game, men and women.
In the Southeast, the way we dance is counterclockwise. And the way baseball, softball is played, it's also counterclockwise. And it's a game without time. So maybe we Indians invented baseball after all. I know that sounds ridiculous. Oklahoma's kind of the center of the universe as far as I'm concerned, because 67 tribes are here. So there's Indians to the right, Indians to the left, Indians in front of you, Indians behind you. This is the problem. People don't recognize us, and sometimes we don't recognize ourselves. And these events like our tribal holidays and festivals that we have, family gatherings, picnics, that's the way we kind of get together and celebrate Indianness, our tribal identities. And of course nobody sits around and talks about, oh, what does it mean to be Choctaw? They don't do that. They just are. It's the act of being.
I think that the young people of the tribe do have some particular difficulty dealing with this aspect of their historic heritage and so forth. I mean, they are not disconnected from the larger culture, which is becoming more and more ahistorical, and it's more and more defined by an orientation to the present. I think that we have to acknowledge that assimilation may very well cause a dilution of cultural appreciation. I'm not sure that I agree completely that they've lost all of it. And so for instance, we're talking about the persistence of a tradition. In the case of the softball, it's an evidence of a cultural bond that is persisting despite these pressures. So what we may be seeing is creation of new means of preserving some identity.
For 52 odd years, Indians have been gathering and playing fast-pitch softball and competing in these tournaments and having a league of all-Indian fast-pitch softball. That is modern America. The face just happens to be red. And this is Oklahoma. This is home of the red people. It makes sense to me in some kind of big design that this is what we would do. The game is being played, and it was played centuries ago, and it's still being played, and it'll be played centuries from now. American Indians are playing pastime. We've outlived the expectations of our own demise.
I drove down Manitou Road.
Looking forward to seeing the fast-pitch softball pitchers and finding out where the ringers are and what teams. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Tell me a little bit about these equipment and how it's evolved.
This right here was a glove I've had since my first glove, 1946. But it's also the glove you'd see during the 1930s. And it's almost impossible to catch the thing unless you use two hands. You have to be very lucky to catch that thing with one hand like that. And that's why the coach always told you, use two hands. That was always, see a fly ball in the air, you hear this, use two hands out there. That's what it was. But this is what the early softball players played with. Now their gloves is twice the big of this thing with a great big net. You'd think it's almost impossible to make an error with those gloves. It's hard to get the ball out of the glove.
That's good. That's 46 feet.
46 feet?
Yeah, 46 feet. That's what the men's are pitching from. And the baseline there from the home plate to first base is 60 feet. And it's all the way around to second base, third, and back home, all 60 feet.
60 feet each one. It's the pitcher that from pitching this way instead of, so you're not really thinking about curve ball.
Oh yeah, you throw curve balls.
You can throw a curve ball from 40?
Oh yeah, drop balls, rise balls with the ball come up.
Uh-huh. So all of it's...
Knuckleballs, change-ups.
Uh-huh.
They pitch just like they do in the major leagues. I'll get all the different kind of pitches.
Are spitballs outlawed?
Well, I don't think they spit on it. They might. I don't know for sure, but most of them are just, just like the regular pitcher in pro leagues. They get the same motions, except they're coming underhanded and closer distance. So these balls can get up to about 80 to 90 miles an hour.
So how long have you been managing this tournament?
I've been doing this tournament for about 19 years.
19 years. How many players do you think come out and play?
Well, usually on a team there's around 15 players on each team, so I have 33 men's team in this tournament, then there'll be 19 women's on the other field. We'll play till we can't play no more.
When did fast pitch softball, when did that start? I mean, in the, you know.
Well, I was told it started early in the 30s, 40s. I would
Really?
say. Yes.
Did we start? Did Indians start playing
Well,
it
I'm
first?
thinking with that we did.
That we're the ones that invented it?
I think so. I think we kind of just got a bigger ball and did a different motion. Yeah.
Well, why not? We just about
That's right.
invented everything else.
Need to do something else different.
When you talk to people all around the country, they just, when you say Indians and then you say softball, they never put us together. It's almost like it's still sort of an invisible sport, though. Do you think so? Not maybe in Oklahoma,
Well,
but
not in
around the
Oklahoma,
country.
yeah, in other countries it is, but in Oklahoma it's just a traditional deal. All Indians play it, all tribes.
All
Yeah,
tribes.
there's the Cherokee tournament, the Creek tournament, the Chickasaw tournament, big all Indian tournament at Oklahoma City, then our tournament here at Choctaw Nation, and then there's other small ones that pop up in between. This will be the distance of the women. You can see how much closer it is. 6 feet different.
Oh. So
See,
it's actually going to be right here.
Yeah, instead of pitching back here, the women will be pitching from right here. That's pretty close. Look at how close it looks.
Wow, it does, doesn't it? And they get up to 80 miles.
Yeah.
Whew.
Our softball is just a family tradition for most Native American people. They bring their kids, their wives, their grandparents, their moms, their dads, and uncles and aunts, and they come out and watch them play and support the players. It's pretty neat. The house will be packed.
Everybody in the house.
That's right.
I'm really happy to be home because I don't live here 12 months out of the year. Somehow these things kind of make you feel like in some kind of way that just by going you feel a little bit more connected to the community, to people that are doing stuff at home. See our tribal council, see how they're managing our affairs. We're the only people in this country that every day we're faced with the vanishing Indian image. The teachers I had in Oklahoma would say, "Oh, it's so sad. I'm so sad that by the time you get grown, there just will be no more Indians." No white person in this country has to hear that as a lesson plan in their 6th grade class. Oh, it's too bad. There's not going to be any more white people in your lifetime. Everything I do is about answering that statement. It's not a wonder our tribes are doing the same thing, that our people are doing the same thing. We're surviving. We're even thriving. This is the message. We're still here. And you can't make us go away just by saying it.
If we want to understand the tribal people in Oklahoma and elsewhere today, that we have to understand that there was a great deal of adapting and of their own institutions against the Anglo models. We see that in the governments they created. The Chickasaws, for instance, have a governor, but at the same time, they have institutions that are clearly reflective of their own traditions. And so what we often see are layers within. They've got their own institutions, they still retain a unique set of institutions, but also ways of life, of patterns of life, spirituality, even the traditional humorous kind of thing, a different orientation to time. Those kinds of variables are still very much a part of many of these people.
To me, I feel like it's a very big part of the Indian traditions because it's a family-oriented thing. You can go to all these festivals, you can see a camp here, and it's one big family, and they're all a ball team. And the names also make a statement. We have 2 teams in our family. You know, that's the Ada Tribes and Oklahoma Twisters. To me, it's a very big deal, the way we are brought up and the way we're going to be bringing up our children, nephews, or cousins, or whatever.
And now it's for your family a lot of times, especially when you have, almost all people on a team are family related in one way or another. That's really what it is, you know. And it's the Smiths versus the Joneses, or it's the yellow horses versus the Harjos. That's what it is.
Yeah. It's kind of a generational thing too. You got moms, grandmas.
Yeah.
Did your mom play?
Both my parents played, and my mom played baseball, actually.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and then when they got older, and my dad played men's fast pitch and men's slow pitch, you know, and so my sister and I grew up with it. We've never known anything but going to tournaments on weekends. That's all we've ever done.
So cool. So are the Native All-Stars from Texas?
No, it's mostly a Chickasaw team.
They're mostly Chickasaws?
I know Deborah's Choctaw and Starla's Choctaw. Lee is Choctaw, and I think the rest are Chickasaw.
And the rest are Chickasaws? Okay.
I've grown up playing my whole life. I started when I was probably 5 or 6, and I grew up playing slow pitch. I didn't actually start playing fast pitch until my freshman year in high school. I started playing with Native All-Stars 3 years ago, I guess, and they've been together for a while. I work at the Choctaw Nation Head Start. I'm a teacher's assistant. I work with 20 kids. We teach them some of their culture. We teach them their Chickasaw words, their colors, their numbers, their animals. I play to have fun. To me, the game is real. I mean, it's alive. It's got a beat. It's almost like a pulse, heartbeat, and it's not just something to do.
I played softball when I was younger, and I just carried on, you know, with my daughter playing. And whenever she got old enough to play, we formed this team.
I'm 23 years old. I'm Chickasaw Choctaw. I'm a student at East Central University. I major in exercise science. I work at the Chickasaw Nation Community Garden. My parents are Dexter and Valerie Underwood. My dad's side of the family is just dedicated to softball. That is their church right there, and I gotta say that's my church too.
You know, they grew up playing cup ball, you know, in the parking lots and, you know, on the side of the fields so, you know, something like that, they grow up with it. So they're going to play eventually when they get older. That's something the Indian people do. It's a natural thing for them to play softball.
Is that dangerous if you play right after LASIK surgery?
They told me after at least 4 days that the dust wouldn't hurt as bad,
of the tournament.
but try to stay away from it. I didn't. But if I can come down here and play softball.
I'm not trying to say that the game that we have today is wholly because of American Indians. Whether it's fast pitch softball or baseball. I'm trying to say that we were there influencing the way the roots of the game was once played. Because, you know, there were bat and ball games being played at the time Europeans arrived.
But as far as the museum, I mean, I just like the opportunity to tell our own stories. And, you know, we can be biased if we want because they're ours. Mm-hmm. And we have this really as an opportunity to further our citizens' knowledge of their own history and educate non-Indian people. And any time that we can educate not only our own people, but non-Indians, I think that it strengthens our position in the world.
We was in Fort Smith, Arkansas, playing one year, and so a boy walked up to me and said, who taught you Indians how to play ball? I said, well, I don't know, but I think it was us Indians that taught y'all how to play ball.
I do think it's almost like a point where the Indians perfected it. We played as much or more than anybody, and I'm not saying anybody else can't play it as well, but we play more of it, I know that, and the more you do something, the better you get at it.
It's in the blood, I guess, you know. You spend a lot of money every weekend trying to get here. Family, you know, that's one of the main things. You gotta have someone by your side that understands it.
It is the Indian sport, or it started out as the Indian sport, and we're trying to keep it, you know, that way, or for everybody, really.
Why do you play? What keeps you out here? Because you got to put up money to come play, and that's your own, unless you get a sponsor, that's your own money, and it's your own time. Why do y'all keep coming?
It was just a leisure time, you know. We get to come back, come out, exercise and play and do things we like to do, play ball and entertain people and entertain ourselves.
I just love getting out and playing and just people cheering for you, you know, when you do things good, and it makes you feel good about yourself.
Fast pitch softball, I guess, teaches us to be humble. That's what I like about it. I mean, he comes out here to relieve stress. He out here having fun. He reuniting with other Indians.
other people.
Coming down here and playing ball, this is just, you know, what we do.
I love to play the game, but I'm getting too old now. So I just coach, you know. I've always been a player coach, but now I just coach. But I do play every once in a while when we don't have enough.
When my kids was old enough to play, I quit playing. I thought I did until we don't have enough and I have to go outfield like I did today.
I love the game. It's for the love of the games, love of the people, the atmosphere. I was telling my wife here recently, because when I'm out here, I'm in my element.
You know, everybody wants to say, I won that one. It's just like the state tournament. You know, we won that the last 3 years in a row now, and everybody wants a shot at us, so that's why they keep coming back.
It's not even about just winning.
No.
What's it about?
I think it's your teammates, but it's also your family that comes out to watch the game. That's more important than your teammates.
If you think that's particularly Indian, I do.
Yeah, I think it is.
It's the way we feel about our family.
It's the way we feel about it. It's a matter of pride.
How do we reconcile the image that we have outside of Oklahoma? People think we're kind of exotic birds or something. How do we reconcile that?
Well, my personal opinion is I don't need to, because I accept who I am, and if somebody can't accept who I am, it doesn't bother me. You know, maybe they got a problem, I don't.
One of our players, she brought her boyfriend this year, and he said, do they stay in teepees? You know, and there still are people that have questions, you know, like that, and they know that it's kind of ridiculous, but they still ask them.
Went to a baseball tournament the other day with my grandson. My son is as dark as my husband. And there was several little Indian boys on the team, and one little boy was scared to death of them because he thought they were going to scalp him. So is it stereotyping it? Yes. And I think when they think of Indians in sports, you know, Jim Thorpe and all those greats don't click. Some of it's very frustrating, you know, if people look down on you just because of what you were. Maybe like a society as a whole doesn't expect anything from us.
There's a couple of times we went down South Texas and up in Arkansas and played, and you know, and they said, "Oh, that's an Indian team. Oh, they won't be no good after the first game because you know they like that firewater. You can give them firewater, and you know, I said, oh, they all be drunk here in another hour."
Why do people think of us in these stereotypical ways?
I don't know. We've just been around it for so long. I guess that's just another part of life, I guess.
Do you think that's really our fault, though?
No, it's not really our fault. I mean, it's just been around.
Yeah,
that's just how it goes.
You know, you can always tell people that hasn't been around Indians or doesn't live in a society where there's a Indian population, you know, that they have no knowledge of the culture or how the people lives or anything like that, you know.
You know, we're the invisible people, and I think we want to be visible. And whatever it would take to make us visible, whether it's to be wearing a Washington Redskin shirt or a Cleveland Indian hat or whatever, we're looking for recognition to identify us.
So when I do see American Indians wearing some of these symbolism, hats, jackets, whatever, t-shirts, I think there's another person that we need to educate. I think that, you know, a lot of our parents, because they were suppressed so long, that they accepted it, and maybe they went along, as people always say, we're honoring you when we give you these symbolism. Maybe that is true during that time, but things change. Time changes, and we're at a point where things need to be changed in reference to American Indians.
What's the difference in maybe Indian teams and non-Indian fast pitch teams?
It's like they expect you to be good. If you're playing with a bunch of Indians, so there's a little bit another level of step it up and play.
I know that when I'm around Native Americans, I play to that level, and that, to me, that's a higher standard than any other softball.
Some of the non-Indian tournaments, there might be a little more edge to it, a little more have-to-win case. Even in the Indian tournaments, when you get down to it, everybody wants to win. There's going to be a winner or loser, or they wouldn't keep score.
Of course, it's not what you call a real heated rivalry. It's all in fun, And they say, well, we're gonna beat them Choctaws this time, Oh no, yeah, we're gonna beat y'all Creeks. The Chickasaws was, we're gonna beat both of y'all.
I like what they call these major tournaments. They're more sponsored by big corporations, and they get money to travel. All of the United States play in these big tournaments. See, we're not like that. So we just play within our means.
The Choctaw Nation actually funded us for this tournament, and we thank them very much, ladies. And our new uniforms we got this year.
What do y'all think about the future of the games?
What we don't see nowadays, you get very few young kids pitching. I know that's got to come around for sure, but there may be 2 to 3 of them that I know that's starting pitching. Other than that, ain't no young ones coming up.
It's mostly our age that's out there right now playing, but the 25s, 18-year-olds, they're more into basketball, so it's going to be tough to get them out there.
If it's too hot for them, they're not going to come out here and play.
Yeah.
I mean,
plus, the level of talent is
yeah.
going downhill bad.
I mean, our generation is just playing Nintendo, be on the computer.
Back in the day, we had like 100, and I think the most teams we had in the state tournament is 112 teams. And that's when they used to camp all night and play all night. And the last 2 years, we've had 52 teams. And I know there's more teams than that. You just got to get everybody back in, let them know that the tournament's going to be there and they're going to receive something, and it'll build back up. You got a lot of young players coming up now that's going to take the place of all the old guys, and I think it's going to work out.
Stop and look around at these parks here, especially the women division, how young these players are. And even some of the men division, there's some young boys out there playing, and there's some younger brothers sitting there waiting to play, wanting to play, so. I believe it's going to continue to grow.
Mechanical drive rhythm simulate computer mohawks, that song. Huxley's new braves are ultimate, never giving up on the hero. Virtual 1 we simulate the old code. Virtual 2 we simulate the Arapaho. Virtual 3 we simulate the Papago. Joystick robot, illusion explosion leads to implosion. Illusion explosion leads to implosion. Leave the world as it is. Leave the world as it is. Leave the world as it is. Leave the world as it is.
I think this story is about survival in the 21st century. How do we do that? How do we manage that? We've managed to outlive all the bad stuff and incorporate the good things that worked for us, like the games, like sports, and thrive.
So how did we manage to outlive all the diseases, all the wars, and keep the games alive?
Let's play ball and let's be really good at it. That's what this is about.